Spoiler alert, Slashers Paradise encourages viewers to watch these horror films before listening to our show. Danny and Lance will go through everything, including filmmaking, dialogue, characters, and even full scene breakdowns when we get excited. Enjoy the show.
With his red right hand, Jiffy poppin', Jiffy poppin'. You want some Jiffy Pop?
Didn't you already ask me this?
Yes, but now I did it better. I went better this time.
Oh, so this is the sequel.
It's the sequel to what I said last time.
When we did Scream.
So this is Scream
2. Welcome to Slashers Paradise. That's Danny. I'm Lance. Today we are talking about Scream 2.
Numero dos. We're back in it. We're jumping back into... it's a deep dive, right? Into the franchise?
Into the franchise. And we got to start with the sequel. And Danny... We talked about this in the first movie. You gotta have a sequel.
You gotta have a sequel. Because let's face it, baby. These days, you gotta have a sequel. You do have to have a sequel because if it's good, why wouldn't we want more?
Exactly. And especially if you already planned on having a sequel when you wrote the first one.
So it's safe to say a movie that deals with horror tropes is going to deal with continuous horror tropes, which is
absolutely,
if we struck lightning, let's go try and do it again. Every horror franchise that you and I love, Lance, as obviously indicated here in the beautiful Slashers Paradise, has a sequel to it. Even Teen Wolf got a sequel to it.
Unfortunately, it did. Yeah.
Starring Jason Bateman.
That's true. It was Jason Bateman. Oh my goodness.
But
wow.
We digress. We are jumping back into the Scream franchise.
Yes.
And I actually would like to thank you guys for coming back into this with us. Thank you, slashers.
Thank
What do you
you.
think? What do you think? We could call people slashers. It's like a thing.
It's a sequel because I did that last time. It's all in line right now. Everything. It's the sequel. That's what the original title for this movie was actually called, was Scream the Sequel.
But Lance, if we're gonna do a sequel, we have to be better than the original. So
yes.
This is us going to attempt to be better than our first podcast episode of the original Scream, which, quite frankly, I felt a little it was a daunting task, man. It was a very daunting task to tackle such an iconic movie. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a mountainous task. I mean, it took us 2 episodes to get through it, and I think we still had a lot more to say, like always.
We're gonna try not to put you guys through that, but we have established here in the Slashers Paradise what a fun place that you could come relax with your favorite horror movie icons and such.
Yes.
We've established that we're going to attack these franchises, but we're going to do them carefully, and if we are thorough and detailed and it's a little long, we apologize, but so freaking what?
Yes, we all love movies. This is Slashers Paradise, right? We're all here. Imagine us all on an island and all we can do all day long is talk about horror movies. So that's the scenario that we've set up.
Oh, it's like that game, right? Desert Island. It's like you could bring 5 movies, and what if it's like, okay, but you could bring 5 franchises?
Oh my!
And that's where we're at. That's where we're here. So this Jiffy Pop will remain uncooked, but we're gonna get cooking. I'm killing it.
He's killing it. He's killing it. All right, Danny. I want to get right down to it. So let's have our pumpkin spice latte for Scream 2.
All right. Pumpkin spice latte for Scream 2. 2 years after the original slew of murders in Woodsboro, we pick up with Sydney, who is trying to get acclimated or, find her footing in college. There are some returning characters, such as Sidney Prescott, Gale Weathers, and Officer Dewey, who's back as well, and Randy, who survived, as you saw at the end of Scream.
Mm-hmm.
But now another slew of murders, mysterious murders, are happening by someone donning the Ghostface costume, and that is Scream 2.
All right, and our breakdown of Scream 2 is released on December 12, 1997. 1 year after our first movie of Scream. This movie was greenlit in the first few weeks of Scream. And again, it was written by Kevin Williamson, who actually did an outline of this film at the end of his screenplay for Scream. So this was already kind of outlined, kind of ready to go. And then it was greenlit once Scream was starting to become a success. Directing, of course, is Wes Craven. He's back, the man himself. Our budget was $24 million this time, a little bit more. Our box office was $172.4 million, a hair off of the first one. Like, I think the first one was 173. This is 172. A third of this was made in the opening weekend. So that's how huge this movie was. And then the franchise was now becoming, we have MTV that's still relevant and good and part of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The movie stars, I'm just going to go through.
Okay.
Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Of course, we mentioned Jamie Kennedy is back. Jada Pinkett Smith.
What?
Can't wait to talk about her. Liev Schreiber is back. Timothy Oliphant, who is more in the beginning of his career, kind of. He's much younger than you probably know him now.
Definitely in the beginning.
Jerry O'Connell, big MTV guy. He was actually part of their first produced movie, Joe's Apartment. Omar Epps is in this. Elise Neal is in this. Laurie Metcalf from Roseanne. That's Jackie. Heather Graham makes an appearance as well. Tori Spelling, Luke Wilson. My goodness, there are so many people. One I have to mention is Rebecca Gehart.
Yep.
Who auditioned for Tatum the first time around, auditioned for Cece and a couple other characters in this one, and just kind of got in as a sorority girl. Also, honorable mention, Joshua Jackson is in this, and I mention him because the two of them were in Urban Legend a few years, I think 2 years later.
Oh, yeah.
Which is all inspired because of the success of Scream. So,
and isn't the other sorority sister Porsche De Rossi?
Yes, it is.
Wow, what a cast.
Yes.
What a cast. I admittedly don't know a lot of Porsche's work, but this is definitely one that I do know. So there.
Yeah, it's funny that you know her name because I was like, I don't recognize her from anything else beyond this, really.
Well, she married to Ellen, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's how I know. Or most people would. You know what? Scratch that. I didn't say that. She's accomplished and she's in Scream 2 and we love Scream 2 and we love Scream 2. We love Scream 2.
Yes, we love Scream 2.
Hey!
Yes.
I do love Scream 2.
I do.
It's not as good as Scream 1, but that's never what. Okay. Some sequels set the tone that they want to surpass the original. Mm-hmm. What a task to give yourself. However, that's maybe what creatively I think they want to do. But monetarily, all they want to do is make more money than the original. And you know what? You just mentioned it. They came pretty close. But if it was all opening weekend, not to cut you off, but if it was all opening weekend, do you think like word got out that it's like, it's good, but it's not?
Well, I mean, that's a good point that you make up because the internet is ablaze when this one comes around. So
what's the year again?
1997.
Oh, hey.
Okay, so here's an interesting fact.
And real quick, it's 2 years in the story,
right,
but it's only 1 year in real life.
In real life, yep. Yes. The fun fact about this is technology, caller ID, Star 69, all this phone technology and internet technology tripled from the first movie to the second movie in real life.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure security too.
All these technologies triple. Literally, that's the numbers. It tripled within a year. So there's a lot more technology in this one. So also the internet is ablaze, and that kind of leads us to our first horrible fun fact of the day. The original screenplay of this was actually leaked online.
Really?
Online, yes.
I think I did. But that makes sense because when you have such a rabid fandom, which is okay, horror movies in general have a very awesome fandom, which obviously we're a part of. Mm-hmm. But like what you could equate it to nowadays is right, like the superhero movies, the the Star Wars and all these movies that have like these huge fandoms. You're gonna have the people who like will. Wait, I could get the saying. Is it like chop off their nose to spite their face?
Yeah.
They go too far that they spoil it for themselves and for everyone else. But like, you know, I've never understood that, Lance. I've never understood the idea of wanting to know so much that you end up spoiling it for yourself and for others. Because like at that point, you're not enjoying it. Yeah. So like, I don't buy that you're a fan. I don't know. What do you think? Like, right?
I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I would never peek at mom and dad's closet for Christmas kind of a thing, right? Like, I don't want to know. I want to know. I want to be surprised when I actually see it, when I open the package or when I watch the movie. So I was never like that to spoil. I feel like nowadays it's like a business. Like media wants to pick those stories out so people, you know, go crazy over it. But unfortunately back then it was kind of a new thing. The internet was pretty, you know, not new at this point, but only 3 or 4 years. And now it's becoming a consumer thing. So now it's out there. The ending is out there. The killers are revealed to the world. So we're in this world of now rewrites and secrecy in filmmaking. So it's down to Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven coming up with surprises. And now there's new scripts being handed out daily to our actors. There's now like nobody actually knows who the killer is. We have to reshoot all these things.
So you're saying that someone spoiled everything right
away.
So who was the original killers?
Well, there's a few stories. There's a few versions of this. The ones that I've found, the best story that I found was that it was actually going to be Sydney's boyfriend, who was played by Jerry O'Connell, and her roommate.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
But also Liev Schreiber, who comes in as Cotton Weary.
Cotton Weary, he was going to end up being...
And Billy's mom. I mean, hopefully you've seen the movie already, but
right. Look, folks,
but it was supposed to be this big conspiracy against Sydney kind of a thing, like a huge amount of killers and everyone's out to get her. She can't trust anyone. And that was the original idea. So now we got to do some rewrites, reshoots and all this kind of stuff.
Well, it's also like, if you make it the boyfriend again, it's like, dang girl, like nobody you date is they're going to want to kill you. Like, are you that terrible of a person? Maybe she's just like terrible in bed, Lance. He's like, I never want to have sex with this girl again. I'm going to kill her. No. But wait, we're going too fast. We're going too fast.
We're jumping a little far ahead.
I think we're going too fast. Maybe we just need to slow down. Let's slow down and take a drink. Let's take a drink.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers. I like that we took a drink. I wish there was something. I like those moments. Maybe there's something that can tell us when to take drinks collectively. That's always fun. Do we have something like that?
It's called the slash word, Danny.
Yeah,
we have something like that. Yes.
We have a game here on Slash's Paradise called the Slash Word, which is a horror take created by us on the very popular game of Password. Basically, when you hear the slash word that will be introduced by a mystery caller or a special guest caller, when you hear the slash word, take a drink, and it could be anything. Water. Okay, it could be anything that you can drink. I don't want people out there drinking Tide Pods or any shit. You know?
Gosh.
Water or alcohol. Let's get crazy. Let's get fun. Let's get fucked up.
Yes. So today, who is our caller, Danny? Who is calling in for the slash word today?
You know, I think he did such a good job, and it is his franchise. I think we should just make sure that Ghostface calls each time.
All right. Ghostface. Can we get him on the line, please? All right, Ghostface, go ahead and give us the slash word of the night.
So the boys need another slash word. The slash word is Ghostface.
All right.
Awesome.
I hope you all got that. Fill your tiki cups and away we go.
All right. So that's such a freaking shame that so much was spoiled. Because like, who cares, right? Who cares about everything like that I have to feed my need to know. I have to like really, I have to overconsume like all the information. I just ruined it for an entire generation. Here we are. I don't know how many years later. I don't know math, but a quite substantial amount of time after. And I'm over here thinking, what if we would have seen the original intention? I don't know. Could it have been better? Would it have been worse? Who knows? But like it's like someone took a picture of the Mona Lisa before it was done and went and showed everybody, hey, look what Leonardo's doing. Look at him. What do you think? Yeah. And he's like, well, shit, now I got to do something else. You know, I'm not saying that the original draft by Kevin Williamson was going to be the Mona Lisa, but you never know.
Yeah. I will say, and there are some articles out there that you can read. A lot of people think that we got a better version because it was spoiled. We got away from something that was repetitive of the boyfriend and friends, going after Sydney. I actually do like this ending.
No, I have no problem with the ending. I just like, we're artists and, you want to be able to let your creative juices flow. Why not? Like, if that's my original motivation, let's see it. So you either love it or you hate it. But, so we got a good alternative. I guess that's the theme with a sequel, right? You're like, well, okay, maybe I was kind of, resting on my laurels a little bit. Maybe I got to really up the ante. So yeah, maybe we did get the better end product, but I guess we'll never know.
I remember that he kind of wrote the sequel with the first one, so it was all one giant story. So now we've changed that up. Now we kind of limit down the killers a little bit. We have some variety in the story, which I think it plays into what the movie's about, the tropes, right? And the real world tropes are now kind of colliding in the sequel. But and you got to up the stakes too.
It has to be sequel tropes. You have what like famous horror sequels can we just like talk about right now? It's like okay, so Halloween 2, right? We still got the killer, but in this case, it's what some people like. It's what sets him apart. What sets Ghostface apart from other boogeymen in their respective franchises is that it's never the same killer.
Yes.
If it's Nightmare on Elm Street, it's always Freddy Krueger. If it's Friday the 13th, it's always Jason Voorhees or Mrs. Voorhees or Roy.
Under the breath.
Come on. But if it's Halloween, it's always Michael Myers. And
one thing to piggyback on that, the great point of that is in this franchise, every Ghostface is completely different. This is one of the most clumsy fuckers I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, for real though.
Yeah, he's like tumbling over the couch all the time. Like he is the most, this and Scream 2, he is the most clumsy you'll probably see in the franchise.
I think that's what's also a little bit like, I guess maybe endearing is the word I want to use about him as a killer, is that like if he gets you, like if Jason gets you, adios, you make your peace with God and go. Michael to Freddy, like you might have like a laugh here and there as he's using you as a marionette, but with Ghostface you're like, I could probably get away, I mean, Tatum really gave him the business in the original. Sydney, obviously, you got to realize that the original killers are just two high school dudes, So it's like they get kicked and they fall. I always love seeing Ghostface eat it personally.
Yeah,
like when he falls, he just kind of really goes overboard, and I love that.
There's such a great human element to him. And then another thing I love, and we'll talk even more down the line about the Scream franchise, is the way that Ghostface always moves. Even though it's a different characteristic to it, he's always fast paced. He's one of the only icons that will like run after you. You know what I mean? I do. There's a human element to him that I love.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the movie real quick right away, but like just so you all know, like there's something funny about certain portrayals of Ghostface when they like, because he's like right, they call him Father Death at one point. Like the early costume thing says like Father Death. If someone chooses to like open their arms wide and like run, it's like, I think it's like, there's something kind of hokey about it, but
it's a cool Halloween costume element. You know what I mean? I kind of dig that, but there's such a human element to Ghostface. That's so cool. The voice is always the same. The costume is almost always the same besides the TV series, but
right.
But it's a different character in his physicality, which is cool, but he always is a fast paced human.
Or she.
Human.
Well, you said he is
I said human.
Oh, you said human. Okay.
Fast-paced human running around and
pronouns, pal.
knocking into, everything and stumbling and falling over. And you're right. He takes.
No, there is a a default man. I don't know, like. Essence about him, if the original was called Father Death, there isn't, but as the series does show you, don't count your chickens. Like, it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be whatever. You know, I think that's what's also very appealing to fans of this series, is that it can be anybody.
Yeah.
You know,
The whodunit is so much fun.
Yeah. But let's jump into the movie. We're gonna try and keep this as detailed oriented when it matters, but I do specifically want to talk about scenes that have stuck with me from this movie.
Great.
I'm going to jump right away into the opening.
Okay.
Because maybe it's hitting me different now, Lance. I don't know, man. I see a classic theater. That's the Rialto, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. It's
Yes,
like
is.
the marquee is classic. You could, I can smell, how about this? I can smell the theater as soon as they walk into it. Like, I know the smell of the buttered popcorn. I don't know. Maybe I guess it's that longing. We haven't been into a theater in so long. But there's just the opening is, okay. So in this sequel, they are continuing their whole meta thing where they're breaking the fourth wall. 'Cause this Scream 2, within it, features a movie made about the original murders,
Right.
which is called
Stab.
which is not too bad. It's not too bad. I do like the original Stab poster. He's green and it's just him with the knife. It's really cool looking. But it opens with Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps, a couple going to watch a movie, and she's established, she's like, I'm not into horror movies, and we could all relate to somebody who's like that, and whether it be whatever person. Not everybody, this is not hitting everyone, but you do what you do for your partner, and it's like, let's go watch a horror movie, right? And she's like, I wanted to watch the Sandra Bullock movie. I like it's cool, but it's also like, if you look at this movie through the lens of like, all that is written is made to be a parody of itself, then it is phenomenal. Even the argument that they're having, it's like such like a trope of an argument. Anyway, they're having this massive viewing of Stab.
Yes.
Like, there's props, there are searchlights, they're giving out the costume. People are wearing the costume. There's Stab-O-Vision, which is like, harken back to the days of when, I forget the movie, but they would release like shoots of air at your feet.
Oh yeah, the like 4D movies, but like way back. Yeah,
they would just like shoot air at your feet, and you're like, and they would turn off all the lights. They're like, it's in the crowd. Don't move, but scream for your lives. And it's like, I love shit like that. It's kind of, it is hokey, but then you go into the theater. They go into the theater, and it is a fucking madhouse.
I would be pissed if I went into a theater like that.
Holy shit. I'm excited right up until they open the doors, and I'm like,
anxiety ridden.
I'm gonna leave.
Yeah,
I would leave. It's not that I'm like, no, because you're saying, well, someone's gonna die eventually, I'm out of there. No, I'm leaving because I'm not gonna enjoy the movie with they have Ghostface on wires.
Yes.
just
going up the crowd. Yeah,
there's something cool about it, but at the same time,
no,
like,
it's
you gotta
not.
watch a movie.
That's something that you do 10 years after the movie if it's great. You know what I mean? It's like
it's like a Rocky Horror thing,
right? Like it's something that you have fun with later. But this theater gives me so much anxiety because I'm the same way. I would have walked right out. I'm like, I don't need popcorn dumped on me. I don't need everyone wearing the costume and reacting to every single thing in the movie. So
it's like when they show those videos of people reacting to the Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
And it's like that's kind of cool because that's a 10-year odyssey that you like coming to an end. But at this point, I'm like, all right, they're kind of overdoing it a little bit.
Right.
But it's fun-ish.
Again, it reminds me so much of the MTV era. And by the way, the person that's handing out the costumes to Omar Epps and everyone actually won a contest on MTV to be a part of the movie. So that was her role.
Awesome. At least she got in the movie. We still don't know who won the Halloween Resurrection contest.
Yeah, we can't figure that out.
Remember they had the contest. And somebody was supposed to be able to get into the movie.
I remember seeing in the documentary but I don't remember where she was in the movie. But anyway, so this is a big part of the MTV era. I think Scream, the first Scream, actually won Best Picture for MTV Movie Awards. So
yeah, baby.
So
yeah,
it's all connected into our society and like the way we especially us are seeing things. I mean, Scream and MTV are one big thing. Enter Jada Pinkett and Omar
I mean,
Epps. But
so Jada Pinkett is she's. I mean, and Omar Epps, but she's huge at this point already, right? Like is it like they're trying to get the Drew Barrymore effect of where they put a big star in the beginning, and if you're like, all right, this is a sequel, she should probably, or one of them is probably going to get it. So you're kind of waiting for it. And they do, both of them.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, okay. And it's refreshing. And I will say this, it's refreshing for like, being a person of color and like watching a movie that you're like, yes, get in there. I hate that you died in the first 2 minutes of it, yeah. But like, cause like there's that trope where it's like, okay, look, there's a group of 5 friends and you got the one, black friend or the one, Hispanic friend or whatever. You're like, all right, well, what's the idea? It's like, they're going to die first. Right. And you're like, oh, well, let's see. And then they die first. And you're like, shit. Yeah. Okay. But
one thing I got to say about Jada Pinkett, I used to go to a lot of metal shows. She was actually in a metal band.
That's right.
Wicked Wisdom. Yes. And
I remember hearing that.
Yeah. I actually was at one of her first shows and I had no idea who the band was or anything.
Was she a singer?
I kind of heard whispers. Yeah, she was a singer. So the whole band comes out, starts playing music, and then Jada Pinkett comes out and I'm like on the rail. Like, hey, like it was one of the first bands to play. She comes out. She has such a presence about her. Like she is 5 foot nothing probably, but her presence is so huge. I was kind of like, wow. Because when you think metal music, you think either long hair or bald dude with a huge beard, screaming into a microphone. But she just commanded such a cool presence. It was so cool to see her that close and be like, wow. And she has the same presence in this film, I think, where she gives a great perspective from, her side of things, from that community side of things. Like, so seeing her in this part was so cool. And then she actually gets gutted in the movie theater and everyone's just kind of cheering it on.
I mean, because like they're handy. Wait, real quick about her in the metal band. So she was a singer, but was she like, was it like destruction, or was she like, Evanescence or like what was her style?
There was more melody to it, but I mean, she would, kind of yell a little bit, not the growling death metal kind of stuff, but
destruction.
Yeah, it wasn't like Cannibal Corpse. It's more Evanescence-y. I mean, she's not that good of a singer, but anyway.
Right.
Anyway, let's get to her death.
Because let's wake me up inside. And I rolled my eyes at myself. I'm meta. I'm breaking my own fourth wall where I'm like, stop. Okay. Anyway, so Omar Epps says he's going to go to the bathroom. His character has to go to the bathroom. And then here's the thing. Everyone's wearing the Ghostface mask, which is a cool thing. It's like, oh, cool. Like anybody could be anybody, or like, this would be the perfect time for somebody to lose their damn mind. And he gets killed in the restroom because, he goes into the stall to obviously use it, and he hears something that's going on. He's like, puts his ear to by the way, amazing aim by Ghostface in the other stall. Because if he puts his head up against the wall to like listen. I think he hears like a girl giggling in the men's bathroom. So he's like, what's going on? And just gets stabbed in the freaking temple.
Yeah.
Okay. In a little bit, I'm going to ask you about the rules, right? Because there were rules to a horror movie, How to Survive. There are rules to sequels, right? Mm-hmm. I think one of the rules is the deaths have to be more vicious. There has to be more of them.
Yeah.
The killer has to be stronger. So right off the bat, first murder, stabbing through a restroom stall into a man's head. And just like, I always had trouble with this death just because I was like, how aren't you supposed to instantly die if you like your brain just gets some sort of a hemorrhage like that? But then again, like he does die pretty instantly. Like he's like kind of freaked
pretty
out
quickly.
And hits the floor.
Yeah, there's people that survive brain injuries like that. I
like
guess,
a stab to the brain.
It's possible.
Lesion in the temporal lobe. Sorry, I just watched The Exorcist. So anyway, so everyone was given this costume. So now Ghostface, fresh off of killing him, takes his mask and goes and rejoins Jada Pinkett in the crowd. And, she's like doing it's almost like Halloween 5. It's almost Halloween 1, Bob, the ghost, and Michael Myers is actually wearing the ghost, the sheet or whatever. So it's very much that. And remember, it's mayhem in this movie theater, but they're starting to watch the movie and she's starting to get into it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
She's getting into the movie and all this stuff. And, he's not giving her any he's doing the thing where it's the killer in the mask. So he's just kind of being, stoic. And she at one point hugs him because there's a scary part. She's like, no. And then when she comes back, her hand's full of blood because he's bloody. And when she realizes that, she starts getting stabbed by Ghostface, and she's trying to get away, but there's so much mayhem that nobody realizes because everybody's doing with their knives and shit. So it's like nobody's gonna really pay attention to a stabbing motion, but this stabbing motion is making contact, and she's getting stabbed and stabbed and stabbed and stabbed, and eventually she's trying to get away. The only thing she could think of to get everyone's attention, she gets up on top of the theater, right in front of the screen, and lets out a big someone. It cuts away when the scream happens. So it's either her screaming or someone is screaming because they're like, who is this bloody girl? Right. But there is a blood curdling scream let out. She's got a mouthful of blood. Everyone is starting to do
taking the mask off. Yeah.
They do the thing. And she plops down and such a contortionist way, her feet are like behind her and she like falls down dead.
Yeah.
It's a great acting job by her.
It's a long death, and the blood you can hear it bubbling in her mouth as she's kind of spitting it out, and it takes a while for her to go, but it's dramatic, and you see everyone's face just drop.
Yeah.
And that's your opening slash cut Scream 2.
Yeah. So we kept on par with the original as far as like, someone big name gets killed in the beginning. And it's a theme setter, right? It sets the theme again, but they upped it a little bit because someone got killed, but two people got killed this time.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. Two names.
Yeah. But in the original, the next scene is Neve Campbell in her room, and what's this one? Neve Campbell in her dorm room.
Yeah.
Who gets a call, and it's Ghostface. Gets a call. Hello, Sydney. She's like, who is this? You tell me. And she just gets her caller ID and looks at it and tells the dude exactly who it is. It's like she's been through this again,
again and again and again.
She's like, the movie's coming out. She's like, it'll die down. She's, it's weird the things that you get used to. But yeah, that's your first couple of beats in the movie. Yeah,
and it's cool. It shows the progression of her right away. We're in college. She's in a dorm room. She has a roommate. There's even a Freddy reference in this one. There's a little sweater, I think, in the corner.
Of course, there has to be. Because, Wes is back for the whole thing. But as far as, like, it's setting the table, I love that opening scene. It's iconic. It can hit you in different, even, like, when Jada goes to, like, order food at the concession stand. And, like, someone behind her says, no, this is actually a true story. So, like, there's things that, like, it's a great scene. I love it.
Yeah, it's very realistic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if this really happened in real life, that's the commentary is always constant. I think Kevin Williamson does that superbly. Like,
oh yeah,
in everything that he does, he has a great commentary on things. And this movie and this franchise is another one of those things. So
they seem grounded, which is very important. You want your characters to kind of live in some sort of reality, but at the same time, there are rules to the sequel. So I already mentioned one rule, which is there's going to be more deaths.
Yeah, body count has
to be up, and now the killer can be more than two people. The original was two people. It could be a man, woman, doesn't matter. Like that. These are like everything is changed, but it's still the same in the sense of like you're going to still deal with a familiar face, but the killer itself is almost stronger, more indestructible, right?
Yeah, more theatrical, which we get in this as well. And it can be anybody. Again, I mean, it's a whodunit franchise, but at this time, you're supposed to up the stakes. So now it can be anybody, including the original survivors from the first Scream, from Woodsboro. So, I mean, that's what we set up. Randy is back. Randy Meeks is back, setting the stage. He's in film class school.
So they're at the same college, Randy and Sydney.
Yes.
Right. But it's a big college. It's a huge campus. It's established. There's Greek fraternities and sororities. So, it's not, I don't think it's a specialized school. I don't think it's a film school, but what we do have is, okay. I went to a big university and I got a theater degree. And I've gone back and forth about what.
No, keep going.
I just kind of gone back and forth about sometimes I feel like there's certain things that probably would have been better learned and or experienced at like a like an art school, like an acting school, right? But I went to a big university, and we did some of the classes that Randy finds himself in, and I was just like, I wasn't footing the bill. My poor parents were paying, obviously, for all my college, and it's just like they're in this class, and they just set it up, right? And the class is filled with like all the stars, right? Timothy Olyphant's in there,
Yes.
Randy, which is Jamie Kennedy, Joshua Jackson, like you said,
Yep.
and Sarah Michelle Gellar. So like they're all in there. Buffy's in there. Charlie from Mighty Ducks is in there. Deadwood for Timothy Olyphant. So anyway, they're in this classroom, and the professor, he's just, come on, guys, let's rap. Let's talk about stuff. They're well aware of the murder, right? Yeah. They're talking about the murder as if it's like something that they just discussed in a chapter reading. Well,
because Stab is coming or has come out. The premiere has happened, and there was a stabbing coordinated to the movie. So it's real life and movies, and then we turn into sequels.
Right. So they're having okay, let's just get over that. That's my big thing about this setting is that they're having this talk about movies, and I'm like, the money, who's paying per minute for this conversation to happen? It's just like, you know what, guys, I actually like this movie and I like this movie. No. Go out and, make the movies, don't be in. Anyway, that's just me, just because I'm like, that's a lot of money to just be talking about movies. But yes, we're talking about sequels. So they start to talk about sequels. And I'm going to pose this question to you, Lance. And here we go. Lance doesn't know what's coming, I don't think, but he might because he knows the movie. And please join us in the comments if you want to talk about what sequel do you think, Lance, surpassed the original?
I will probably go down the same path that this conversation in the movie goes down. Okay. I think Godfather 2 is debatable for being maybe slightly better than the original. Mm-hmm. We can go down the Star Wars path, but there's always Randy always has a reason for kind of coming back on these things. Not a sequel part of a trilogy, blah, blah, blah.
But that's the thing. Like Randy takes the point that sequels are going to be, and it might be a little Wes too, throwing it in. It's a lot of Wes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because but I'm going to fight the idea that part 2 of Nightmare on Elm Street was not good. Because it was phenomenal. Oh, do you know how to love me? Yeah. Come on. We'll get to that eventually. But, Wes made the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And New Line really screwed him over and didn't give him his due. They, eventually fixed it down the line. But the second Nightmare on Elm Street is almost laughable in it, as far as like being compared to the original. So they have this conversation, and I do agree with you with Godfather 2. I personally think that there's actually been some newer sequels that have surpassed the originals, but technically it is a prequel, so I don't know.
There we go. The technicalities, though.
I know there's
Randy
so much.
Meeks.
I am Randy. I'm Randy, because he's like. Yeah, then he starts doing impressions, and I'm like, okay, so I'm Randy.
Here's another fun fact of that, by the way. There's a scene where Jamie Kennedy, breaks down into an English accent.
What the hell is that about?
So I read he was on like a podcast or a show or something, and they reran this scene from the movie to him, and he's like, I don't know what the hell I was doing. There was no reason for me to do this English accent.
And they just let him do it.
And they kept that cut from the scene. It was so funny. I mean, they let so much happen, you know what I mean? Yeah. These characters got to do what they wanted.
It adds to him.
He got the role because he ad-libbed. Yeah. That's why he got the role versus somebody else that was a pretty big actor back then. But and he continued to ad-lib. Even in this, he actually gets the quote from Aliens wrong. The other person says it right. He says it wrong and corrects them, and then he even ad-libs it because he knows that he's wrong. So
is it like Kevin Nash? Look at the adjective, and it's a verb. Anyway, so they say Aliens is better than Alien. I agree with that. My fiance Caitlin does not. She likes the original Alien. To each their own. It's Ridley Scott versus James Cameron. Another thing they say, T2 versus T1, Terminator. I love Terminator 1, and I love it more than I do Terminator 2. I am not saying the Terminator 2 is not a good movie. I think it's an amazing movie, but different strokes for different folks. I like the original.
Another James Cameron factor with this movie, Titanic came out the same year. They had to move Titanic back because they knew that this would be more successful, or they thought it might be more successful.
They thought.
They did not want to go up against Scream 2. There's another movie that came out at the same time that moved their release date because of Scream 2.
Can you imagine Scream 2, a sequel, going up against Titanic, and Titanic would be the top grossing movie of all time until Avatar, and then until Avengers Endgame, and then until Avatar again.
Right.
So now Avatar.
Anyway,
so stupid.
I hate it. Yeah, but
so yeah, what do you guys think? I hope you've put it in the comments. Sequels that have surpassed the original. There are a lot out there. I was gonna say the Annabelle, the second movie in the Annabelle French in the series, which is Annabelle the Beginning or Annabelle Creation. I can't believe I'm messing that up. It's way better than the original, but the original Annabelle is not good. So there are a lot out there. So
as far as this movie, there's a great big movie feel to it, especially with the success of Scream, changing the game of horror movies. We all were, I think, very thirsty for great horror films, and now we're getting them. Again, big movie feel. The progression of Sydney, and now all the characters have a different kind of role going on. Dewey has like kind of a not a mean streak, but he's got a little more of an attitude, especially towards Gale Weathers.
Right.
He's also, remember, he was stabbed in the first movie, so now he's got this pinched nerve. He's kind of got this weird
like a limp and
an arm,
like a
kind of thing, which
thing.
Yeah, so he's got a kind of a twist to his character.
Sure.
Gail's now like super famous beyond what she was before. She's got some streaks in her hair.
We do see someone do this in a more recent than this horror movie, where they take someone who went through trauma and then capitalized on it with Rob Zombie's take on Dr. Loomis in the second Halloween. He made a book. It went to his head. He kind of got all this fame from it. So Gale Weathers has written a book in the past. She wrote the original one that eventually cleared Cotton Weary's name. But did she write a second book? Because she's just capitalizing on it.
Yeah, now she's even more in the media. She's got all this other media stuff. Her show's gotten huge. She's just a big deal now, way beyond where she was in the first one after the book.
But we did mention Liev Schreiber, who was just, you see him as Cotton Weary in the original, just like on a video. So it's like almost begs the question: would they were not the question, but probably the assertion of what you said about Kevin Williamson is that he had always planned for the sequel to plan out the way it did.
Yeah, because you only saw Cotton on the TV as part of the news and being transferred over. Now he's a big part of this, and I will say he might be one of my favorite characters from this film because of his portrayal of Cotton Weary. He comes off as Gale Weathers faces him with Sydney, and it's this dramatic thing, and Sydney has no idea what's happening.
It's like gotcha journalism a little bit.
Yeah, and Cotton Weary thinks there's an understanding. He's going to forgive her for, putting him in jail for a year and the trial and all this stuff and dragging his name through the mud. Turns out Gale Weathers never told Sydney, so it's this big deal. And he's got this kind of stammer, like, Gale,
Gale, I thought we had an interview. I love his voice, man.
Oh, his voice is
my gosh.
amazing. And it's so amazing to the point where every scene that he's in, he sounds more and more like the Ghostface phone call. You know what I mean? So, but in the beginning, it's that stammer and like, he's trying to hold something back. And then the rest of the movie, he's got this sinister drive to him. And I love his character in this movie.
Well, think about it, right? As far if you're Cotton, if you are him, you've been imprisoned for a while, or at least a couple of years for a murder that you did not commit.
Mm-hmm.
So people will always kind of look at you like a murderer because, who knows the true facts? You know what I mean? But like, you have to kind of watch how you react to things because people are like, you gonna murder me?
Right.
You gonna murder me now?
Yeah.
You're losing it, you murderer. You know? So like, you see that in Liev's portrayal of Cotton. You see that amazing sort of like back and forth with himself. He's like, Gale, I thought we had an interview. I thought it was set up. Don't walk away. Gale, he's like trying to like keep his shit together, and eventually, you're right. He does take a really big turn as far as like, oh shit, Cotton might be the killer.
Yeah, and because he's got a great motivation, right?
Yes,
he wants to be.
You put me in jail. Fuck you. I'm gonna kill you.
It's not only that, but he also wants to be on TV. He wants his 15 minutes of fame. That's what he's asking for throughout this entire movie, basically. And even to the end, where he's like, "Sydney, you're gonna do that interview or what?"
Oh, I love that. I love that part.
But it's such a great payoff for Cotton Weary in this movie. By the end of the movie, he's like, "Are you gonna make me a star or not?" And she's like, "Yeah, got it."
Yeah.
Boom, in the movie. But
I love so many scenes in this movie that I still remember. Of course, I did talk about the opening. I want to talk about one death scene ish that's in the death for. Yes, it's a death scene. So Sydney has now been, because there's murders happening, and she's been given undercover cop detail like to protection, right? So they're watching over her. So Ghostface has already made an attempt at Sydney to kill her, and they're transporting her and her roommate to an undisclosed location, like a safe house, basically. And they're in the back of a cop car, right? So the two cops are driving, and I don't even know the logistics of making this kill happen as Ghostface. Like, he must have gone through so much just to put this shit together. Seriously. But, they're in this cop car, and what's more secure than a police car, right? A lot. But as far as like, if you're the prisoners, you're like, all right, well, like, you can't get to me because I'm protected. But at the same time, I can't leave. I'm kind of so they're so Sydney and her roommate are in the back, and these cops are I forget how Ghostface start, like it's at a red light, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like making jokes back to the back seat. Even one of the guys even says like, "I'll kill you" or something.
No, he's like
really bad joke.
Like, where are we going? Well, if we told you, we'd have to kill you. That old shit. Yeah.
And then Ghostface pops up right behind the driver and takes him out. Like, he breaks through the window.
Yes, he stabs him through the window, and then at one point, he's driving, right, and then one of the cops gets like thrown out of the window, or he's on the outside of the car. And anyway, Ghostface is driving, and he's driving so fast, and the cop is just trying to shoot the windshield. He's like, pull over, right? And Ghostface is like, fuck it. He drives straight into
like a construction zone.
A construction zone that has like pipes and shit like that. What's so grotesque is that one drives itself straight through one of the cops, like back of his head, and like stabs through the car. All that's fine, right? Yes, it's all fine. No, but the part that, because Ghostface is driving, he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And they can't escape. The girls are fine as far as like they're alive. They survive the crash, but they can't get out because it's a police car. You can't open the doors, and it's a little jammed. But one pipe did come through and push down the grate that keeps the people separated. So you can push that down and climb to the front where Ghostface is sitting and is knocked out. And I swear, guys, I was watching this in the theaters and losing my goddamn mind, because Sydney has to get like in front of Ghostface, like to crawl over him to get out of the car. And not even that, she makes it. So now, okay, open the door for your roommate that's in the back seat. No, the door's jammed, of course.
No,
so now the roommate has to do it again. So you're like, okay, Sydney, fine. She's gonna die. She's gonna get got right now. And she makes it all the way through.
Right.
You're like, the tension, because
the tension's great because he's breathing. They know that he's alive.
Right.
And I swear, if you watch it, because they do a lot of close-ups of the mask, you can see Ghostface's eye slightly open watching them, but you gotta look really close.
I mean, and we're saying he a lot because this one is definitely the he of the two killers.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get through, they get out. You're like, oh, finally they made it, right? But then Sydney, and she has that moment where she's like, I need to know who it is. Like, why didn't you pull off the mask right then and there, right?
Yeah.
So when she goes back to check on the car, she's like, I got to know who it is. And her roommate's like, no, let's go. She checks it out. Ghostface is gone. She's like, he's not here. Of course, the roommate stayed over there down the street. She's like, what? gets killed by Ghostface.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I mean, there's a lot of people that will say like, how the hell did Ghostface go all the way around a building to come around, blah blah blah. But who cares?
That's a rule of the sequel, though.
Right?
That he's more mythical, more magical.
Yes,
the
killer
less
is
unexplained.
Everywhere.
Sorry, more unexplained.
Right, and in the third one, he'll become supernatural. But
yes,
in this one, you got to raise the stakes and all that kind of stuff. So this scene is really dramatic and fun, and and we have a great Survivor Girl moment where she's like, "I'm done running." Nev Campbell has that moment. I'm done running. I'm going to go take care of this. End it now, kind of a thing. And nope, we're still going. And another thing, like the characteristics of Ghostface, you're starting to see him more. When we see Cece's death, that turns into the party across the street, which, all of them go over. Like Ghostface is attacking like left and right. And it's becoming like a super fast paced movie. And then you'll get like a breath of fresh air. And then it's another one. So when he chases Sydney out of this scene, he stops. I actually really like, there's something to that. I was like, there's a plan. You know what I mean? Like, also, I know where you're going to go.
It also depends on which Ghostface it is, right? Is it, okay, here it comes, big reveal, spoiler. One of the killers is Jimmy. Is that his name?
No.
What's his name?
Mickey. Sorry.
Mickey. I knew it was like an ingy, at the end. Mickey, who is Timothy Oliphant, who is he's just a film student, but part of the little clique that is Sydney, her roommate, Randy, Sydney's boyfriend, and Mickey. They're like in this little clique. By the way, just so you all know, Jerry O'Connell is a good-looking dude in this, this is his heyday when everyone's like, dang, Jerry, what's up? He's with his shirt off. That's Vern from Stand By Me, the little chunky kid. Yes, Vern, Verno. No one believes in myths and goochers. It's baby stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to say that Jerry O'Connell's Vern from Stand By Me.
The reason that he got this role, by the way, was because it came down to two people. They had to audition the cafeteria scene where he's singing in front of everyone. Oh my
God, what a scene.
There's just like fun facts because this will come around later. He gives his Greek letters, which is like a necklace. It's like a big no-no in sororities.
Thing.
Yeah, so he gives that to Sydney to, confess his love and all this stuff. The brothers come after him, take him away, have a big party on the stage of the college and all this kind of stuff. And that's where Sydney ends up after the car scene.
Well, just also, Sydney has decided that she's going to pursue theater. So she's involved in acting and is she's in a play. What's the play? Oh, my gosh.
It's The Fall of Troy.
Oh, right. It's one of the greatest stories in literature. I wanted a director like that. So I had some awesome directors in college. But, this... her director is so fantastic. It's like one of those directors is like, I don't believe you. Make me believe what you're saying. And it's like, yeah, as an actor, you want to get pushed around physically. No. So yeah, she ends up at the, that's where she was rehearsing earlier and got a little scared because she thought she saw Ghostface, and it's a culmination. She's back at the end. She's at the theater where she's kind of suspected it has been her boyfriend the whole time, but there he is. He, drunk and passed out because they made him like drink a lot of beer and stuff like that. So he's like, we're gonna leave him there for opening night. He's on one of the props, and it's revealed right away Mickey is one of the killers because he comes out and he puts doubt in Sydney's mind.
Yeah, right
she's
away.
About to untie her boyfriend, and he's like, Sydney, are you sure you could trust him? How did I get here? Like, I had to have help.
Yeah, thanks, partner.
Yeah,
he calls him partner flat
he just
out.
straight up says that he's the other killer, and he's like, he gets mad. He's like, "I'll fucking kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" And he's like, "No, you're not." 'Cause he shoots him.
Yeah,
kills, and like I think what's so sad about that moment, it's such a sad moment because like in his last moments of life, his girlfriend didn't believe him.
Right.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah. And I think Sydney actually had some actual like love for him. I think she wanted to trust him, and he was a good guy at the end of the day, even though he was originally supposed to be the killer. But and then we get Timothy Oliphant, Mickey's whole idea of what's going to happen. It's all about the trial, right?
Yes.
It's the real world trope kind of coming in of committing these crimes so that I can get my fame.
Yeah, because like at that point we've already been through the OJ trial and multiple trials about like, you know, if it's so scandalous they cover it 24/7. So he's like, you know, he's got his idea. He's like, yeah, it's all about the trial. I'm going to blame the movies. He's going to say that's going to be his defense. You know, he's saying that what is it, Bob Dole and the Christian Coalition will pretty much be begging to pay my lawyer fees, which is like, you know, kind of, I mean, much as things change, as much they say the same. Like a lot of that shit is still obviously true. Yeah, he was gonna take that stance. He's like, oh yeah, horror movies made me this way. So, but there has to be another killer.
There just has to be, because there's two scenes at one point that are going off, and the killer is taking out two groups of people.
Yeah, he's
Gale and Dewey were together, and they're
that's right. So poor Dewey. There's one point where Gale and Dewey rekindle a little bit, and they get off course when Dewey's about to score, because that's what happens when they're both going to score. Okay, David Arquette is much. Oh, anyway, I can't even finish that. They're getting intimate in like this room, and they get attacked by Ghostface. And you're like, wait a minute, we just saw Ghostface like halfway across the city. You know what I'm saying? It's not outside the realm of possibility. If you're Jason, he goes wherever the hell he wants. He transports. But for this one, it's like, oh yeah, there should definitely be two killers. Right. Dewey gets stabbed, and he very much looks like he dies, and it's a sad moment between. That's a great scene. I'm not going to discuss that one. I love that scene. The way, like, go watch it yourselves. But Gale gets away from the killer, from Ghostface. But then once Sidney is facing Mickey at the end, the door opens and Gale walks through, and Mickey's like, here's my accomplice. And it's Gale first. And Sidney's like, Gale? Right? And then Gale's like, it's not me. And right behind her is Debbie Salt, who has been like the local reporter and has kind of been just, you know, she's been around the movie, right? It's Debbie Salt, played by Laurie Metcalf.
Yes.
Who ends up being the second killer, and you're like, Debbie Salt, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
But Sidney recognizes her as soon as she sees her. She says, yeah, I'm going to do the whole thing.
Oh, great.
I'm going to do the whole thing. Here it comes. She says, when she sees her, Mrs. Loomis? And she's like, Gale's like, Mrs. Loomis? And everyone's like, who is this? Of course, Mickey decides to do the most ridiculous choice as an actor and scream up to the heavens and elongate his neck and say, Billy's mother. Why did he do that, Lance?
I don't know. You're the actor. You tell me. What choice was that?
That's cut. All right, we're gonna do something. I like where you went. We're gonna try something else. That's what. As if I'm Wes, I'm gonna. It's so weird, but at the same time, it probably fits because it's so weird and iconic, and I'm talking about it.
You're starting to play with the psychology of him, right? Like, is he really losing his mind? Is there really just motive to get your 15 minutes of fame? And Sidney kind of gets into him like, you're just a psychopath, you know? And,
but even Mrs. Loomis says that she found him on like a psychopath forum, paid for him to go to college, you know, so that he could infiltrate. She, you know, footed the bill for this whole thing. And she's like, all right, Mickey, this ain't gonna, your whole trial shit ain't gonna work. Right. And she shoots him.
You're done. It was such a quick, like, it's not really gonna happen. Like, you're done.
And basically, folks, slashers, that's the motive of the movie. Billy's mother is trying to kill Laurie.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wolf.
Yeah. Is trying to kill Sidney. Laurie, because of Laurie Metcalf. That's why it was in my mind. Not Laurie Strode. Trying to kill Sidney because it's just straight up 100% unadulterated revenge.
Yeah.
That's it. You killed my boy. I'm going to kill you. Boom.
I like some simplicity in this. Why not?
The best stories are the simplest ones, or the explanations are the best. Yeah, you know.
I mean, I would have also been happy with the payoff of Cotton Weary kind of being it, even though I think he's the one that you peg the whole time. And that's the fun part is we can always go back and be like, who did you think it was the whole movie? You know, my Scream experience was ruined, but Scream 2, I want to say I probably thought it was Cotton the whole time.
Well, Cotton does have a revealing moment, right?
Which one?
At the end.
Oh,
you talked about it already.
Yeah. His motive of, are you going to give me my 15 minutes? Are you going to give me my interview with, was it
Diane Sawyer?
Diane Sawyer, right? Yeah.
It's Diane Sawyer.
And
of course, Sydney's at this point in her life, her mom has been murdered by her boyfriend and her friend, and she's been attacked, and people, are always all up on always pranking her and ruining her life. She's like, yeah, I would like to move furthest away from this as possible. No, I don't want to have a sit down with you and Diane Sawyer, and also kind of probably be like, it's like that one with Robin Givens and Tyson, where they just kind of they had a sit down and they paint Tyson in such a terrible light. It's an interview. I could only imagine they probably would have been laying into Sydney. Don't you feel bad for sending him to jail? She's like, no, I'm not going to do that shit.
Yeah.
So at the end, Mrs. Loomis has got Sydney, got her, the gun to her head. And, Cotton's like, what the hell is Sydney? What's going on here? And she's like, he's like, I guess that Diane Sawyer interview is looking pretty good right now. And she's like,
You got it.
Consider it done. Right? Yeah. And bam, shoots Mrs. Loomis. And that's Cotton's redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Or redeeming moment. Saves the day.
There's still a dark motive to him, but at the end of the day, he is kind of the hero in this one. So I love his story. I love his character. And this one's probably my favorite from the movie because I just had him pinned the whole way. And it's just a cool character. That would have been
fine, Lance. I would have been totally fine if it was Cotton because he would have nailed it, by the way. Because he already was, as the not killer, just a creepy dude. Liev Schreiber was. So if there is one thing, if I wanted to be an ass about it and be detailed, I could find a couple of things in the movie that I didn't particularly care for. But my fiance and I agree on this one wholeheartedly. It's that end shot. I hate it. I hate that above play collective soul, her walking out, Sydney walking out triumphant, but it's like, I don't like it.
What song was planned from the beginning, but you know what song was supposed to be?
With arms wide open. No,
that was the next movie. Bittersweet Symphony.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, that's a tie-in. Cruel Intentions.
Yes, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Unfortunately, the song was too expensive for the production of Scream 2, so they had to pick this other song, but then they asked the artist to add some cello to fit the movie, the soundtrack, and the credits. It's the most bizarre soundtrack I've ever heard.
Really?
There's 4 or 5 songs. There's a rap song in there. There's just all these bizarre choices and different genres.
Yeah, it's Scream 2. What?
It's something like that. Yeah, it's something like that.
It's a rap about the movie?
Kind of.
I love it.
So it's kind of a bizarre mix after that. But yeah, you're right. The shots kind of planned from the beginning of this, we got our Survivor girl and play this sweet tones rock song.
And we both know that if you're going to end a slasher movie that is a part of a franchise and you want to end it with a rock song at the end, there's only one song to choose.
And which one is that, Dave?
Come and see me at the end of Halloween 6. Come and see me.
You know what's funny is the other tie-in with this song and this ending with Cruel Intentions. It's the same song. It's the same ending with Reese Witherspoon. Do you remember she's driving in Sebastian's car at the very end? Cruel Intentions.
It's Reese, though?
Yeah.
You know who I'm imagining? The girl from The Craft. Okay, go on, please.
So it's Reese Witherspoon. She auditioned. She was considered for the role of Casey in Scream 1, and she auditioned for Cece and a couple other characters in this movie and didn't get it.
Really?
So yeah, there's
America's Sweetheart?
There's your other tie-in.
Wow.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. It does feel very much like Cruel Intentions, or Cruel Intentions feels like this anyway, but I hate that shot. I was just...
Especially for a horror film. There's so much more you can do with it, but yeah.
So anyway, that's Scream 2.
That is Scream 2, the sequel.
We loved it. We absolutely loved it. I'm speaking for you because I think if we found anything bad about it, we probably would have talked about it.
Yeah.
No, we both loved it.
Danny, how many stabs do you give Scream 2?
I will give Scream 2 a solid 4 stabs.
Yep, I will as well. Good call. Yeah. All right. That's Danny. I'm Lance, reminding you to
lock your door,
bolt your windows,
and nice streaks.
Join us next time in our Slasher's Paradise.
And with a red right hair. Boom. I want to go make this.
Hey! Thank you everyone for watching Slasher's Paradise tonight. Please go down to the subscribe button right down here and click subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you know when we go live next time on YouTube. Danny.
And if you prefer an audio version, look us up on Apple Podcasts, find Slasher's Paradise, listen to us, obviously, and leave a 5-star rate and review. If you don't know what to say, go ahead and put in a request of a movie you'd like for us to talk about. We'd love to hear what you think, guys.
Yes, please. And if you would love to see more of our beautiful faces, head to facebook.com/deadcandyfix. Dead Candy is the producer of Slasher's Paradise, and we will see you there, and we will see you next time. Here's to you guys.
This is Slasher's Paradise. Sorry, I had to work that in.
And I'm going to drink on that.